Hey folks, me Mortimer here. I just want to say that this is part 2 of this video, so if you haven't seen part 1, please check it out via the link in the description, but if you have seen it, then let's not dawdle. Alright, this might seem a bit random, but I'm not going to have a better time to do this, so let's just do it now. Alright, I'm going to look at my Amazon Music 2024 delivered, because I don't use Spotify. 106,495 minutes this year. That's impressive. Alright, what genres have I been listening to? What? This ought to be interesting. Hell yeah! Yeah! 12,000 minutes! Top 9.1% of Kendrick Lamar, Green Day, and Talking Heads listeners. God damn. Well, can't say I was expecting that. Alright, let's see what's in here, eh? Feel It by DeForvid, the only good DeForvid song. Those guitars are heavenly at the end. Jesus of Suburbia is probably my favorite of the, pop punk songs that came out in the 2000s, I'm gonna be honest. Baba O'Reilly by The Who. Oh, God. Absolutely smashing song. Drank. Tracy Chapman version's better, but Luke Combs still does an amazing job of it. It's at least better than the Jonas Blue version. So this was my intro on YouTube for like 6 months. Somewhere Only We Know by Keen. Yeah, no, the Star Wars droid cover is better. Okay, I have no memory of listening to Dua Lipa. Okay, this blew me away when I heard it in a ton of YouTube shorts, because I heard it and I saw, okay, this is just a rock song. And then I clicked on it and I saw it was a goddamn Childish Gambino song. I'm mainly familiar with stuff from him like This Is America, Bonfire, Redbone, so hearing a full-on rock opera was the last thing I expected. Okay, the sheer caliber of wordplay from this song. God, madness. What a strange band. I just love how strange ska music is. Oh yeah, I forgot I like MGK's rock stuff. God, I'm unlikable. Oh yeah, I forgot about Jimmy Eat World. Yeah, no, I meant to use this as the intro music to a video that ended up not releasing. JID is an absolute legend and he is not to be messed with. Okay, let's get back on track now. Yeah, this is probably a bit more of a lukewarm take than a hot take, but I think Lothian Country should have just focused on expanding West Lothian's bus network before they should have started new bus wars with McGill's. I mean, yeah, I get that this could be Lothian's very late retaliation against McGill's for launching the Brightbus Airport Express, and also Winchboro is a very large developing area at the moment, but 4 buses an hour Monday to Saturday is hella extreme. Add on the proposed Winchboro train station and you've got yourself way more links into Edinburgh than you actually need. The X19 is definitely worse than the X18, but I put this so many spots higher than the X18 FRV sheerly because of the camera quality, but believe me, this route would have been a hell of a lot lower if I've done an X38 FRV, as that's basically the same route, just McGill's. Just want to say that the next few entries I'm recording with a pretty rotten cold, so my voice might sound a bit different, so apologies. So when I was looking at this script the other day, I was quite surprised to see this at number 67, until I had a quick look through the rest of the list above it, and then rewatched this, and considering that not only was this 15 minutes late, but it was raining the entire time, yeah, no, I can't say I'm surprised that this plays so low, but 16's a solid route. I swear to God, every time I pass through Bonnyrigg or Last Wade, I hear Roswellsians yapping about how they'd love for the X31 to operate during the days that they had a bus into Edinburgh. Lothian Country still have to pull their weight with a lot more until West Lothian's bus network is back to normal. However, for what they've got at the moment, I think this is pretty solid, but by God, the 73 and 72 need frequency increases. Every 15 minutes daily is definitely over the top for the X55, at least off-peak. I think it should be like every 20 minutes instead, or on Sundays, maybe even every half hour, but I digress. Like I said, 73 and 72 need frequency increases. I put the newer one above the older one, as I do think it's nicer that it was only 1 minute late as opposed to 27. However, with the older one, there's an interesting concept I like to call sunset FRVs.
Yeah, so sunset FRVs are an extremely simple concept. It's literally, you get on the bus before sunset, and by the time you got into the terminus, it's pitch black outside. I have done 2 of these, one on the Lothian 2 and one on the Lothian 7. And honestly, they are genuinely some of my favorites to do, because I love seeing the start of the video. It's just bright outside, and then you get to the end and it's pitch black. I love seeing the progression of it. But it's just a shame that the 2 routes that I've done sunset FRVs on so far are mid as all hell.
And from one to another? Why do Stagecoach feel like they need to reinvent their local bus network in Dunfermline every August? As a link from Fife to Edinburgh Airport, the 747 is great. In every other regard, it's completely fine. The other half of the old McGill 63 is quite a lot higher on this list, as that is now another Lothian route.
There's the other 111A FRV.
I'll reiterate what I said in part 1. I don't think East Lothian's bus network is especially amazing. However, I think a lot of the routes in it are fairly solid. The 111 and 111A by Prentice of Haddington are definitely some clear examples of that. The DLC one is a school route, and yeah, it's more interesting than like half of Dunfermline's local bus routes. I used to hate the 45, but I've kind of come around on it now, and I think it's honestly an alright route. And now that it has a proper Saturday timetable, we don't have to rely on this junk. Every hour to Elmroe was a bit funny.
Behold the bus tours!
The City Sightseeing Tour is my least favourite open-top bus tour in Edinburgh. However, I do think that the new route, now that the law market's being closed off, it's better, so I am fairly excited to do an FRV on that relatively soon, if I can find the money for it. I love the 113 between Pencaitlin and Tranent, but once you get past Tranent, I'll probably just hop on an X6 into the city, because I can't be arsed to go through Musselburgh. So this is my other Sunset FRV, this time on a different, completely mid route, this time being Lothian 7 instead of the 2, and honestly I think this one came out better, just because with single-decker Sunset FRVs you get all the weird reflections and what have you, whereas you don't on doubles. This is another situation parallel to my Lothian 16's placement on this, as that was 67 and I thought that was quite low. This is 50 and I thought that was kind of low as well, but then again, I did say that from entry 103 things were quite jumbled for the next 50 or so entries, so kind of makes sense.
I prefer the X55, so I'm not really too sure why I put this above it by so much.
One of the weirdest routes for a bus out of Edinburgh to take, but then again it is a commuter bus from Dunfermline, which does have a higher population of people who will commute into Edinburgh, so can't say I'm too shocked. The 8A is an excellent route, and this visual would have probably been in the top 25 if it weren't for the fact that Bus Time said I was going to get a Scania E400, and then I see an E200 MC pulling in instead, so yeah. Yeah, no, I love the 36, it's just on the first FRV I did on it, it was very rainy, and on the more recent one, the sun was absolutely blinding, so you gotta pick your poison here. I have a feeling that my takes are maybe a bit more blasphemous than I was expecting going into this. The 70 is without a doubt the main reason why Lothian Country made it £2 to go from the city to City West zone instead of £3. I'm gonna be honest, if I had to make a ranking of all of Lothian's routes, the 37 would be quite low on the list, just because I think if I have to get from the city centre to Pettycook, I'm gonna go with the X62 or the 47 easily.
It's West Lothian's other link to a hospital in Edinburgh. Yippee!
This potentially could be a hot take, but I think Lothian Country are doing a better job running the X40 than E&M could ever do. Admittedly, the reroute to the West Side Plaza and through East Calder is better than just running direct via the A71, but I digress. I still can't get over the 33 reroute in Wester Hills back in September. Like, come on, what the hell is this shit?
So, at last, we are through 100 of 138 entries. So, what's the next entry? Or rather, what are the next two entries? Two routes in Dunfermline that might seem like a very strange coupling, but I do have my reasons for it.
This segment's going to be a bit longer than the others, but I'll try to keep it quick. I first won all the 87 in 2017. In August of 2017 to be exact, back when Stagecoach used to run it. The bus said 87 was on was 47941, which is a Stagecoach Optare Solo SR, which at the time had recently come up from Carlisle, and this was the few short months before it got repainted into the beach ball livery. Now, I should say that this wasn't my first time seeing or using a Stagecoach bus, as I was more than familiar with them on the Dumfries and Gaggleway 101 and 102, but this was my first time seeing a bus like this. I remember seeing this bus pull into North Queensferry Station and thinking it was so cool and sleek. I mean, to be fair, I was only 2 years old at this point. I remember 7-year-old me chatting to the driver about how cool I thought the bus was, and I remember him telling me that it had come up from this weird city in the north of England I'd never heard of called Carlisle. Of course, me being the ever-curious acoustic iPad kid I was, and still kinda am, when I got home that day, I went on my iPad and started Googling a ton of stuff up about Carlisle buses and all that stuff. And I remember spending a good 3 or 4 hours just watching constant video after video of buses in Carlisle. And when I got fed up with that, I moved on to the buses in Dunfermline, because I was now curious about what the buses nearer to home were like, as I thought this bus is now in Dunfermline. What's its bus network like? I don't remember why we were getting the 87, and I asked my mum and sister about it recently, and they have no memory of going to Dunfermline in 2017. But if I'm honest, if it weren't for that one 87 ride, I don't think I'd really be into buses. But that one bus ride has really completely changed the trajectory of my life, and I think for the better. Then you have the 84A, which was basically just the western half of the 87, however, it went via Hospital Hill instead of cutting directly down Queensferry Road, and only ran on Sundays and in the evenings, which I intended to be quite a bit lower on the list than the 87, but I ended up putting it right below since the visual was slightly higher quality, and also, at least, the driver on the 84A was okay with me having my camera attached to the pole, so... I intend on doing an updated X33 FRV relatively soon, probably in the next 3 months, but I could be wrong on that, just since it goes to Gore Bridge instead of Newton Grange now. However, I do think I prefer when it went to Newton Grange instead, but that's just me. Might seem odd having this so high up, considering we had to wait for 27 minutes at Broxton Park and Ride. But A, the driver kept flooring it between Holbeath and Broxton. B, Plaxton Panther 3s are solid coaches. They might not be Plaxton Leopards, but they're still pretty solid. And then C, City Link routes are just fun to do FRVs on. Leven is the only place where I think I prefer the Sunday bus network over the Monday to Saturday network, and the 47A it's alright, honestly. Most of Leven is fairly unmemorable for its buses, like it has the 7 and 95, but that's pretty much it. Also, I've been writing notes for some of these FRVs, and for the 47A FRV, the note read, Fricklerman and here we have the shuttles for the Scottish Vintage Bus Museum open weekend. I put the Holbeath one above the Dunfermline one since I think the route's more interesting, and also 14000 is really not great at going over hills these days, which, I mean, to be fair, it's 35 years old, so you can't be too surprised that it's going to struggle with huge passenger loads. Honestly, you know what? Okay, I concede. The 48 is genuinely an excellent route, and I'm an idiot for ever thinking otherwise. And here's a route that I really like, but I don't entirely get why. Having this in my top 10 favorite Lothian routes is probably a bit blasphemous, but I don't care. This route's awesome, and I intend on doing another FRV on it soon now that Hill End's finally reopened. Callum, I hope you know you falling asleep mid-sentence on this bus when we were passing Har Hill services is forever engraved into the back of my mind, so many thanks for that. The X6 is really uninteresting. Why do I have such a soft spot for it? I put the December one above the July one since I think it turned out better, and also I'd rather be 2 minutes early than 18 minutes late. However, one thing to note with the December one is the music. Yeah, get this SpongeBob-ass lo-fi music away from here. Also, this is our longest URV to date, sitting at 83 minutes and 22 seconds, so yeah. 31 is an absolutely solid route, however I put the May one above the October one for 3 reasons. First off, I think a 17-minute delay, whilst pretty awful, is at least better than a 20-minute one. I know 96 takeaway 81 is 15, and I know that 100 takeaway 83 is 17. I was getting it mixed up with FRVs, please don't kill. Second of all, you've got the E400 XLBs on the 31, which I do think are better than the Gemini 2s. And 3, with the October one, there was both consecutively a bunch of kids from Last Wade High School who got on the bus, and then a bunch of kids from Graceman High School who got on the bus. Both groups started screeching like banshees basically the entire time. Then again, what do I expect from state schools? My commuter bus home from school is an absolute cesspit. If when I reach adulthood I wonder why I think I peaked in high school, I think my best reasoning is probably going to be me getting from White Craig to Morningside in 45 minutes after the latter of these two FRVs.
God, I wish I went on more ALXs before they were withdrawn from Fife.
I've been on a total of 3 ALXs in my entire life. The previous 2 times were once with Stagecoach in February 2023 and once with Brightbus in May of 2023. And I've got to be honest, these are some of the greatest buses I've ever been on. Now, as for the 14 route itself, it might seem quite strange having it so high up on this list, but A, the FRV turned out great, and B, I don't know why, but I have an insanely huge soft spot for the 14, so yeah. If that weren't the case, this would probably only be down in, like, the 70s, and if this had been an E400, it'd probably be down in, like, the 90s, so...
And another thing about this that might have artificially boosted it is the instrumental, yet again. Yeah, again, it's Attack the Killer Queen. The only difference is that this version is marginally worse. I think this was probably the only con of Lothian getting McGill's routes, is that this version of the 20 no longer exists.
So the new Lothian 20 and 70, which are the replacements for the McGill's 20, are definitely a bit inferior to the McGill's 20. Yes, that is as weird to say as it sounds. And also, and I know every time I say this I risk getting beaten to death with a sock full of butter, but honestly, the streetlights on the 20 were absolutely class. I'm just gonna say it. And I didn't anticipate McGill's getting the 13 and 60 when the new tendering process happened in December, but I'm really happy that they did get the tender and that they're using streetlights on the 13 and 60 and also the X39, but that doesn't really count.
I do genuinely see demand for an all-day X26, maybe if it's only like hourly, but I mean, I think if East Coast buses hop on it, make it like, I don't know, X8s and run it between Haymarket and Port Season, I could see demand for that. I mean, it would relieve passenger numbers on the stretch between Musselburgh and the city centre, so that's pretty cool. I will reiterate, fuck McGill's.
It is truly a shame that not only did McGill's get the tender for the new Service 60, but they got the tender for the Edinburgh Coach Lines 13 that Edinburgh Coach Lines had held on to for a solid, like, 15 years. And to be fair, as of the day this releases, they'll have been running it for 2 weeks, and they've actually so far done a fairly good job at it. However, just thinking back to the last month of the 20, 63, and 68, yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I don't entirely see this working extremely well going into the future. The 29 is honestly one of the best routes from Edinburgh into Midlothian, and I just love getting on the 29, sort of Cameron Toll, taking it down to Newton Grange whilst the driver speeds down the A7 on a Gemini 3, and then getting off in Newton Grange, taking a train back up. It's something that I actually do fairly frequently, considering I don't take the train all that much. However, with that being said, why is it every time I go on the 29 I get Magnolia by Playboi Carti stuck in my head?
In New York, I'm Millie Rock.
Yeah, I got none. Yeah, the 42 was alright, and the 12 when it went to George Street was also alright, but for some reason, when the 42 was withdrawn and the 12 was rerouted to replace it, I don't know why, but something in my mind just clicked for me, and now the 12 is one of my favourite Lothian routes. It's a fun fact, this is my mum's favourite bus route, and I completely get why. You know, the 23 is kind of like bad workout music. It might be a mediocre bus route, but it's my mediocre bus route, goddammit.
Charlie thinks our Stirling trip was a mess. I think it was a blast.
Maybe not the best route in Stirling, but by God is it a good contender for that title. It might seem like an odd route to be placing so high, but out of all the routes I've been on in Stirling, this is my favourite. Of course, I've not been on all of them, and just looking at the route, the 59 definitely looks to be the best, but I think the 38 is definitely a lot better now that it's run by McGill's, God, that feels weird to say, than when it was run by First Bus, all the way down to Edinburgh using right streetlights. Like, come on, 2.25 hours on a streetlight, really?
And from one 38 to another?
I've made it very clear that the 38 is my favourite route ran by Lothian buses, so it shouldn't surprise you that even if it's just the Longstone Peak journeys, it is still gonna be just outside the top 10. I put the one to Granton above the one to the Royal Infirmary because I do think the northern half of the 38 is still more interesting than the southern half. However, I do think both halves of the route are excellent. Why are Stagecoach so good at plotting routes through Fife that are just absolutely amazing? To be honest, I actually did just consider taking the train up from Waverley to Thornton and then taking a 39 out to Leslie, and I am so glad that I chose to take the 31 instead, because by God is this a scenic route. And the driver was an absolute speed demon. Like Cuddy House Road, which is the street on screen, the speed limit is 40 miles per hour, whereas the driver was absolutely tearing down at 43 miles per hour, and it's just so fun to speed down country roads on a bus, I swear. So yeah, the 31's an absolutely amazing link from Dunfermline to Glenrothes, and also the visual came out amazing, and the weather was just brilliant, so quite pleased.
And we've reached the top 10, and what am I starting it with?
As the gateway to the top 10, I think you'd probably expect something maybe a bit more interesting. However, the reason I chose the 32 is that it's actually in my top 5 favourite Lothian routes. Now, you might be wondering, considering I've done FRVs from tens of different companies this year, why is my 5th favourite Lothian route at number 10 on this list and not a bit lower, maybe at like 20 or something? And the reason is, the 23 is now only my 6th most favourite Lothian route. I didn't do 22 or 400 FRVs this year, and the 238 FRVs I did were only half of the route. It's funny because just that slight reroute to Cramond suddenly makes the route feel so much more different, and also the buses used on the 32 are definitely better than the ones that were used on the 63. But yeah, I think the 32 is a genuinely brilliant route, and I'm kind of glad that it's run by Lothian now instead of the old 63 from McGill's. And here we have my 7th most favourite Lothian route. There was a time in my life when I was about 4 or 5 where every Saturday I would take the 5 from my nearest stop to it all the way out to Brunstane and back, and to be honest, I still have that respect for the 5 to this day. I do think it is a smashing route, and not just because its route is slightly strange. As of the day of filming this, I actually took the 5 from Brunstein to Churchill, and to be honest, I still do think it's worthy of being in my top 10 favourite Lothian routes.
This is probably the second most ballsiest claim of the entire video.
Okay, before y'all start losing your I would like to point out that tour buses are designed specifically to be scenic. I put the Regal tour above the Majestic tour just because I think going via the Port of Leith instead of just cutting directly past from Newhaven to Ocean Terminal is slightly more interesting. However, I put the Britannia tour above those two as I thought the route via Stockbridge from Ocean Terminal was really cool. Admittedly though, the lawn market's been, I think, temporarily closed off to the tour buses, so now it goes via Leith Walk instead. Oh, and by the way, the next FRV to come out after the Regal Tour FRV was... This is basically just a local X62 from Pennycook to Edinburgh, and then it becomes the northern half of the old 41. So, I think you can probably understand why it's so high up on this list. Also, this was our 100th ever FRV, and to be honest, I think this is a cracking FRV to be the big number 100.
The tour bus claim was the second ballsiest claim of the entire video. Second only to...
Yeah, I can't really do a great job defending this one. Sometimes I'm just opinionated and can't really explain why without people still being confused. I think it's just how unique the 6 is, since, like, there aren't really any other buses that go along the Fife Coast between Toryburn and Inverkeithing, and the 6 does that with flying colours. And the drivers love just speeding down the country roads from Dunfermline city limits all the way down to Limekilns, and then on the last wee stretch up to Crombie. Also, Limekilns High Street is just so beautiful. But yeah, this is about as good a job as I'm gonna manage for describing why I think the 6 is one of my favourite bus routes in Dunfermline. So yeah, I'd advise if you really want to try it out, just go up to Dunfermline and see for yourself. I know you're probably not going to agree, but yeah. Now, here's to hoping that the last 2 routes are more obviously great. Oh, thank God. God, the Scottish borders are so scenic. This might seem insane to say, but out of all the bus routes I've done the entire journey on, this is my favourite one of those in the Lothians. I know, yeah. It really says a lot, doesn't it? I've taken the X62 past Pennycook twice. Once from Galashiels to Edinburgh when I was doing this FRV, and once when I took it from Edinburgh to Peebles and back. And when I tell you, the drivers absolutely hammer on the accelerator when cruising down the A703, I mean it. The drivers love just speeding down there as fast as they can. And then for the other half of the route, when you're cruising along at 60 miles an hour next to the River Tweed with a huge hillside in the background, like, it's magical. It's a bit you can see on screen right now, and the views are intensely amazing. Every minute of the route, bar maybe from Southbridge to Edinburgh bus station, because that's rather uninteresting, is absolutely amazing. And there's a reason it made it into the top 3, let alone the top 10 on this list. However, my vote for the best FRV I've ever done, and by proxy the best one on this ranking, is without a doubt... Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, this was basically shoehorned into first place right from the get-go, from when I even started planning this video, let alone reviewing the FRVs.
I'm not gonna dawdle on the 7 and 7A because I do intend to make a video about them relatively soon, but I'm just gonna leave you with this. The 7A FRV I did in June is my favourite FRV that I've ever done. Thank you all for watching. I'm Mortimer Durkin. On the 20th of December, we'll be doing our last video, which has some cool announcements. I'd highly recommend checking out that. But until next time, happy holidays, folks.